News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Brought to you by Dr. Smashfoot's Bowling Ball Juggling Therapy. Studies have shown that when you're attempting to keep 4 bowling balls in the air, it's nearly impossible to think about anything else. So if you thought your life was difficult before, wait till you visit our clinic. At Dr. Smashfoot's Bowling Ball Juggling Therapy, we guarantee you won't even remember what problem you came in to solve. Pound your troubles away with Dr. Smashfoot's Bowling Ball Juggling Therapy today.
I mean, you can't put a price tag on peace of mind, people. I mean,
I'm sorry. I'm just kind of going, I think I know people that went there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well,
I'm sitting next to one of them.
Oh, boy. And welcome to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning.
I'm Allan Gilbreth with Geeky Side TV.
And I am Brandon Olmstead from Geek Tank Radio.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, Allan. People just show up around here. But
we left the door open.
We got our buddy Brandon. Let's call this a special holiday edition because, Brandon, you're bringing us something a little later in the store. It's basically the Christmas decoration wars between man and beast, right?
That's pretty much where you go into it. I've seen a lot of folks out there on their ladders hanging off roofs and fighting with raccoons.
Yeah, we're going to dive into that. We've all seen it, and we've all seen Clark Griswold, what he's dealt with. Maximilian behind the glass is going to bring us another one of his deep cuts, Kintsugi. It's the Japanese principle of celebrating imperfection, of which, let's face it, Tool Talk Radio is a talk about a celebration of imperfection.
Even down to the way that you pronounce it. It's Kinsugi, not Kintsugi.
There you go. Hey, by that mispronunciation, I am celebrating the aesthetics. So
I was going to ask if that just happens to be a new sponsor we've got coming in later.
There you go. We got
because it was Kent,
Absolutely. We got a science segment that we missed last time, Allan, because we just got too busy with our guests. We've got a must-have item of the week. We've got a lot coming at you. And, of course, you can always reach us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. So it's all coming at you today on Tool Talk Radio. But before we get to any of that...
And now, Tool Talk Radio's Weekly Salute.
Sometimes... a simple precaution can avert a crisis. When skydiving out of an airplane, it's important to take the simple precaution of first checking your parachute to be sure it's packed correctly. Can't argue with that. No. If Captain Smith of the Titanic had taken the simple precaution of not traveling through an iceberg field at night, the vessel might never have sank. If you ever find yourself entering into negotiations with Jabba the Hutt, you should always take the simple precaution of not standing over the trap door in front of his throne. Luke, I'm looking at you, buddy. And, of course, when Allan Gilbreth finally achieved his dream of setting a Guinness Book of World's Record for building the world's most powerful toilet, which he demonstrated by flushing a live 20-foot Australian water python down the drain, Allan took the simple precaution of first attaching a tracking device to more easily be able to retrieve the reptile after its adventure so he could get it back home in time for his dinner party he was planning that evening, the theme of which was unique protein dishes from the Outback. So is he the guest of honor, Allan?
Absolutely.
Or the centerpiece? I don't know. What a cruel man.
Cajun seasoning works on everything.
One of the greatest advancements in the history of technology has been the electrical revolution. There's that hard left turn again, Allan. However, early on in the history of electrical engineering, one of its great dangers were accidental short circuits and overloads, causing electrocution, fires, and damage to property. Today, however, the vast majority of these threats have been mitigated thanks to the precautionary mechanism we celebrate today. My friends, we give you the circuit breaker.
Yay!
Allan, in truth, I'm going to kind of have to lean on you. Normally, I do some heavy research onto these, but I feel like, I got the date 1898, and that's about as far as I've got. We know I think everybody knows what a circuit breaker is, right?
Now,
we started with fuses.
It breaks a circuit.
Right. Tell us what's going on.
All right.
With
Well, you
that.
got to go back to 1879 for the first patent application, and that was dear old Thomas Edison.
Oh, boy.
Because he was working on that DC stuff, and he was tired of shocking himself.
Yeah.
So he basically put a little device in there where he could break the circuit and thus work on the generators he was selling. It's not until about 1924 you got a company called Brown, Bovert, and C. And the BBC. They had an engineer by the name of Hugo Stultz who came up with the basic fundamental idea of the circuit breaker and fuse we have today.
Okay, gotcha.
So that is really kind of where they came from. And the number of lives saved, property damage averted, cannot even be measured by such a simple yet so essential device.
Well, because I was going to ask you, Alan. One time I was tightening my when I was like 16 on my first car. I was tightening the positive battery cable with a wrench, and I accidentally slipped. And while the wrench was touching the positive cable, it also touched the negative, and it melted it.
You got a pop, baby.
And that's the kind of stuff we're avoiding. So
yes.
Anyway, all right. Hats off to the circuit breaker. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from News Talk 98.9 The Roar, Memphis. We're going to take a quick break. Then we're going to dive into the science of recycled plastic bricks.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allen. News Talk 98.9 The Roar of Memphis.
I think Allen just hit his foot. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry, and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from Geeky Side TV, our special guest and our friend Brandon Olmstead from Geek Tank Radio, and our buddy Max behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And, of course, we invite you to go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page. Give us a like. You can listen to all of our past shows. It's kind of the one-stop shop, Alan, because I know we're on Spotify.
From our Facebook page, you can always pop over to our website. You just go to tooltalkradio.com, and we've got links there to past shows. And the best part is, like you said, we're on Spotify. You can take us with you anywhere you go.
Absolutely. So there's no need to ever miss an episode of Tool Talk Radio, or for that matter, Brandon, Geek Tank Radio.
Oh,
they're both there. Yeah.
Well, if you ever just need to feel better about yourself, just flip us on, and
yeah.
There you go. Whatever you're doing, you're going to feel better.
So, hey, Alan, you know what else will make you feel better? If you've got a HVAC problem and you don't know what to do, maybe you've got one that just happened all of a sudden, and you're a little flummoxed. Well, you'll feel better when you call the good people at Brown Refrigeration. The peace of mind, I guess, is kind of a big factor, Alan.
Yes.
You deal with these guys a lot. We all refer
every week.
Yeah, you know their technicians by you got them on speed dial.
I've got them on Christmas list. What are you talking about? Yeah.
Yeah. So, but if you do have any problems with your HVAC, it's nothing to play games with, especially this time of year. This weekend's a weird time. You might actually use your air conditioning here in the middle of December.
Well, this is one of those weekends where you might have all three seasons.
Yeah.
So we're damp and wet right here in spring. Then we're going to have a little shot of summer, and then we're going to roll right back into heavy fall.
Yeah, they do it all. So, and the other thing with that, Alan, is the clean air system, their Remy Halo system, and their smart home system, and their great financing, which we really need to shout from the rooftops, because if you're presented with a surprise, all of a sudden, boom, you need a new unit because yours just finally died. It would be nice to be able to do that, get that financing. I mean, it's really reasonable rates, and that kind of gives you the peace of mind of knowing you're not going to go, broke right before Christmas. So
absolutely, and it is that time of year when you really need to have that heating system checked out.
Yeah. They do these tune-ups. They do it all. They're just good people. And as we said, we want you to petition Brown Refrigeration and tell them you want Mrs. Brown to come on Tool Talk Radio, because she's yet to make an appearance in all these years, Alan, and it needs to happen.
She's going to get you for this.
Give them a call at 901-362-1881, or go to their very easy-to-remember website, brownref.com. Hey, Alan, real quick, the break kind of came at us pretty quick, but before the break, we were doing a salute to the circuit breaker, and I just want to mention, you did say, when you talked about how many lives it saves, it's basically you had if you don't have a circuit breaker, you're almost creating like a welding machine, right? I mean, it's just going to keep heating up and melting, and you can start fires. And
okay, well, let's
let's
talk about just that 12-volt battery that you were using with your car,
right?
Because they will tell you how many quote unquote cranking amps it has, and the higher the amperage, of course, the bigger and badder the battery is. So that's why. You got the cheap battery, the good battery, and then the really expensive battery anytime you go in to buy one for your car. Well, here's the thing. When you make that contact at 12 volts with at least 400 cranking amps, you are actually creating a tiny little spot where those two pieces of metal meet that I think at last measurement was somewhere around the heat of the sun.
Well, I was about to tell you, because before the break, I didn't get to give you the full drama of this. So, Alan, it's my first car. The battery died, and I had to put the new battery on. So I put the positive cable on first, which is probably the wrong move because I was 16 years old,
well,
whatever.
You didn't know. So
I put that on. So I'm going to tighten it, and the wrench slips, and it hits the negative post. And I'm telling you, it sparked, and it cut through. It melted it. Like I was cutting through butter with a hot. I mean, it just went zzz, and it just melted the post. And I'm lucky it didn't blow up or something.
And all of our listeners are out there going, Joe, that's called arc welding.
Yeah, it made an impression.
How many people out there are actually thinking this explains a lot?
Yeah, it did, and it gave me a healthy fear of electricity. I'm telling you. So
everybody should have a really good respect for electricity because. As we love to say, it's not the volts that are going to get you, but the volts warn you.
Okay.
The volts are the warning that you are dealing with power.
Okay.
And the other thing I'm going to throw in is we call it the theory of electricity because it's going to do whatever we let it get away with. So a lot of people don't understand this with a car of the whole body is part of the battery.
Well, sure, because when you go to put the negative cable in your jump starter, you can clamp it to the engine block. You can clamp it to the frame.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All of the metal on that car is part of the electrical system. And when you're dealing with your home and here's going to be a quick little safety tip, guys, especially this time of year when you're cleaning up the leaves and the grass isn't tall and all that, over there on the side of your house, you've got a wire sticking out somewhere that goes to a big bolt in the ground. Please make sure, quick look, that is still attached properly. That is the ground from your house, from all of the appliances and things inside of there to the outside ground so that in the event, it's kind of wet this weekend, a little lightning here and there, this keeps draining off a surplus power and not letting it build up.
Yeah, it goes into the ground. Yeah, it's like a 3/4 inch diameter metal thing, and it's easy to run over with your lawnmower.
It's easy to hit with the lawnmower, the weed eater or whatever, but that's why I tell everybody, especially this time of year when the grass isn't growing and all that, and you're out there blowing off the leaves, give that thing a quick look because you could really be saving yourself a lot of we'll just say drama and trauma later.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, glad we got that in. So, Alan, but we missed your science story last week. And
Hail science!
What do you got for us, sir?
Well, let's talk about a little recycling issue. Plastic bottles.
Oh, yeah, the scourge of humanity.
These things are everywhere, right?
Yep.
In the ocean, on the ground, and just all over the place. And so what do we want to do with them? And just basically, it's just you got to shove it in a landfill because a lot of these plastics are very, very durable, like 1,000 years durable.
Sure, man. I mean, think of all the,
Okay, so you kind of got the problem. Well, I'm actually going to pick on a young lady named Nazimbi Mati, and she is a young champion of the environment. And and keep in mind, this is a young lady who was working in the oil industry who went entrepreneur in Kenya.
Wow.
Looking at all of the waste bottles, especially like the water bottles, the big water bottles, the heavy-duty hard plastics. And she was just looking at this stuff everywhere. And there's certain places where trash horrifyingly has built up to mountains.
Well, isn't it? They talk about that thing in the middle of the ocean that's the size of Texas or something. Is that true?
Well,
or is that a legend?
area, all right. Well, that area, if you float your boat out there, Joe, you're going to be horribly disappointed because there's not going to be a huge mountain of plastic out there.
Is it up underwater?
Well, what it is it's broken down microplastic. So all of the pieces of plastic have been rubbed together and abraded and broken down into little small pieces, which makes it even more dangerous because now it's easier for stuff to eat it.
I was about to say the fish might think they're eating a little piece of plankton.
There's
or something.
a lot of that.
Oh,
and
boy.
they've actually predicted that if you, by the next 5 years, almost every human being on the planet will have some amount of microplastic in their bodies.
Well, if you eat a tuna sandwich. and
Well,
it's
just
got,
kind of pointing
yeah.
out that, there's a lot of this going on.
Yep.
So what this young lady did was she sat around and got all ingenious and said, we got to be able to do something with this stuff. So she got with a few friends and they made their own, and I love this, they made their own mixer and extruder. So what they're doing is they're taking plastic bottles, mixing the soft and hard plastics in a certain percentage, grinding them up, running them through an extruder, a heated extruder with sand, and then taking the outcoming sandy goo and sticking it in a hydraulic press. And she is making bricks out of basically dirt and trash that are more durable than concrete.
What kind? I know this is a dumb question. Maybe it's not a dumb question. What kind of sheen do they have? Are they very shiny and glossy, or can you get a matte finish, or can you?
They've actually come up with a variety of colors and finishes, and other companies have now begun copying a popular toy company, and are making full size, plasticized, and again sand and other aggregate of snap together full size cinder blocks.
I've been seeing those, Allan, because I wanted to. That was my next question, because I've been seeing we're going to a Lego system of building homes in the future.
Welcome to toys becoming reality, and the fact that you could now begin building walls, one brick at a time, snapping them together, and the strength on these things is amazing, and they're very durable, and they are being blended with certain chemicals now commercially to make sure that they're fire retardant. So,
I got
a huge building, a whole huge building market we can get into in the next segment is coming from our trash now.
Well, and I'm also wondering too, Allan, because we definitely need to carry this over to the next segment. I guess I'm wondering about what mortar they use. Is the mortar got plastic in it? Do they?
What mortar? These things snap together.
No mortar, no seams, no.
Like a Lego brick, man. They're just using a little bit of sealant.
Yeah, you don't use mortar on a Lego. You don't use glue unless you're that kid from the Lego movie, and the dad that didn't want to.
But no, they can use a sealant to make it permanent.
Can you imagine the renovation ease?
Oh my gosh, yeah,
you just dismantle your wall
home
and move it back a foot.
Right. The future of this is exciting stuff. So, well, Allan, let's wrap that discussion up when we come back. That's really interesting. That's very interesting, juicy stuff, and I didn't even see any negatives. I didn't see a downside on that story.
Not yet.
I'll come up with one. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. We'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
People really don't know how to finish wood properly.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
I've always resented Ron Swanson's bold generalizations. I know how to finish wood, Ron. You're not the only one that knows about woodworking. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry, and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from Geeky Side TV, our buddy Brandon Olmstead from Geek Tank Radio, and our pal Max behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And, of course, go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page. Give us a like. Join the conversation over there. Send us pictures of your home improvement triumphs and tragedies. And really, the tragedies are kind of more fun. And I would think this time of year, people probably have things they probably have decorations they want to brag about. We're going to dive into that shortly with our buddy Brandon Olmstead and the battles you face between man and beast when decorating your home. So before we get to that, though, one of the battles you have with your home, Allan, is your roof. Well, it doesn't have to be a battle.
Oh goodness, yes.
But if it's if it's compromised or if it's leaking, then it is a battle, because you've got to keep that water out. You got to keep the elements away. And let's face it, roofs are about the most important feature of a home, you have to get the roof right. So, and we've been talking about technology, and one of the great things is roofing technology has improved greatly over the years. And so you want an expert to install it. So you want to call our buddy Jay Hill at Big M Roofing and Remodeling. He's accredited with the Better Business Bureau. He's a GAF master installer. He's accredited with Good Housekeeping. I guess that's what it is, accredited.
Mm-hmm.
It's got Good Housekeeping.
He's
on
got
his
the
card.
Good Housekeeping seal of approval.
Right. And the great thing about Jay is many times, well, not many times, but sometimes you may qualify to have your roof replaced. The majority of those expenses can be covered by your homeowner's insurance, and you want to know that going into a project.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Jay is a former insurance agent turned master elite roofing installer. I wonder how many people have that on their resume.
Probably not many.
No.
It's a lot of letters behind your
For
name.
all intents and purposes, thanks to when it comes to us, the only person out there that does that is Jay.
Yeah, that we've ever heard of, and they do a great job. And so he can help you navigate those waters if you need to. If you qualify, and that saves you a lot of money if you do qualify.
Yes, it does.
And then they install these roofing systems. They're not just simply nailing shingles onto your roof. They create a system that is more efficient at keeping the water away and also cooling your roof off, which makes a big deal. It makes the shingles last longer. It makes everything last longer. And the best part is this is a transferable warranty. These come with a lifetime transferable warranty. I'm still amazed by that.
Yep. So when you sell your house, Joe, your new owner gets a warranted roof.
That's a selling point, man. So, and I know, Brandon, you've had a great experience with Big M.
Absolutely. I think one of the things that made it even better was I work nights, so my days are usually me passed out. I left the house for about 3 hours and came back to a finished roof. Now, they were working beforehand, but they were actually very courteous to my schedule.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, he's got a great crew over there. So so you can call Jay at 901-484-5645 or go to bigmroofingandremodeling.com. And Jay's a riot, too. I think he's coming in next week, too.
He's a lot of fun.
Stand by. So anyway, hey, Allan, before the break, we've been talking about your science segment.
Hail science!
Jeez.
Wow.
And Max has been had his finger over that button for 5 minutes, ready to push it. So.
And the satisfied smirk on his face is priceless.
So if you're just tuning in, Allan was bringing us, the future of home improvement it's going to be wide-ranging. And one of the challenges is we are facing sort of a crisis with all the wasted plastic and all the all the materials we use for packaging and everything just basically sitting in landfills or winding up in the ocean, and it's a problem. So some entrepreneurs in Kenya have taken the bull by the horns, and they're making bricks. So it's sand mixed with some plastic bottles, basically.
Run through a heated extruder and then hydraulically pressed into shape.
And the shape is a shape of a Lego, more or less. And building suddenly becomes a pretty easy thing. You pour your foundation, and now building a home is going to happen in a matter of days rather than weeks.
That's the pavers going on in Kenya. Well, let's switch over to a British nonprofit called Recycle Rebuild. And they are really getting into this because they got with the Dutch company Precious Plastics. And they are actually building cinder block sized Lego bricks.
Wow.
They're hollow on the inside, so they've got an R factor. And if you see a picture of these things, they can come in almost all the colors, any color you want.
So no more painting your home?
If you want blue, you can be blue. If you want green, you can be green. Here you go.
I think you need to make them a paintable surface because after about 10 years, you may be tired of that blue house.
It is a paintable surface. However, if you want a shock white wall, you can get shock white bricks.
Wow. Okay.
So here's the thing. They come in corner cuts. They come in different sizes, shapes, and descriptions for the purpose that you're doing. And the whole idea behind what Precious Plastics is doing is it is a building brick. It is designed for you to build whatever you want out of it.
Wow. Interesting. And it's taking that plastic. And I have to think, because bricks are actually pretty fragile, people. Like if you take a brick and just drop it on a sidewalk, it's going to shatter. I mean, so I would think these are going to be a little hardier. I bet if you dropped
they're
one
tough.
of these babies.
Yeah, these things are a lot hardier. And
we know how tough Legos are. So.
If you've ever stepped on one.
don't ever step on one at 2 a.m.
Right.
So here's the idea. We have all of this being produced. And it's really, there's a lot of efforts going to reduce the amount of plastics that we make. And, mad salute goes to those. However, there's still a lot of plastic getting made. Now, different kinds of plastics are coming up that aren't going to be as immortal.
Right.
One of the ones we've talked about in the past was plastics based on myceliums, basically mushrooms.
Mushroom-based or algae-based plastic?
Yeah, there's all kinds of products out there that could give us a biodegradable plastic. But for these plastics that we've already got that are already so hard to get rid of, repurposing is just, in my opinion, a massive salute to ingenuity.
I mean,
you're taking an opportunity and really running with it.
That's a huge step one, because I guess step two is to start maybe producing plastics that are biodegradable.
Right.
And one thing too with my kids, one thing that always bugged me, because I would go every week with them to Toys R Us to go ahead and they'd spend their allowance at Toys R Us, and they would whatever toy they picked up, I was always amazed at how much plastic packaging went into it. I'm like, you could have a little action figure the size 5 inches tall, and the box itself is like 10 inches tall, and all of that is just wasted. So
yes. Well, now these products are getting repurposed, reused, and of course, for you and I, the fact that they're making something as fun as actual construction bricks and pavers. We're also looking at decking material.
Wow.
Recycled plastics going into making decks. I'm also going to throw out a shout out to the Really Useful Box Corporation, because they're using 100% recycled plastics to make plastic storage boxes. And I've been using the Really Useful Boxes now for years. And guys, you talk about durable. I have hauled everything in these things.
Yeah.
So they've, thank goodness we have people thinking a little bit outside the box and going, we've got the material, let's do something else with it. Let's keep it recycled.
Yeah, it's cool. So that is definitely a positive advancement, So, and I was wondering though, Allan, I'm always so if these are stackable, they're movable, all this type of thing. So, but they do create a pretty tight seal, it sounds like.
Well, if you see the picture on my screen, you're not going to get a dime between them.
Okay, because I still feel like you'd have to have like a gasket or something.
Yeah, you have to put a little sealant in there.
Okay, but
make it completely airtight and watertight.
So I guess what I'm wondering is, I wonder if homes of the future are going to be constructed differently. Because let's suppose you do want to reconfigure your home. I wonder if you make, I don't know, the rafters above you more modular, so in case you want to move a wall or something. I don't know. Well, I feel like the whole structure of a home might go more to the how you have these pre-finished steel buildings where you basically have a shell on the outside and all of the inside walls are strict. There's no load-bearing walls. You can put a wall anywhere you want.
That's correct. I mean, welcome to embracing a small change that has such a massive, massive impact.
Yeah, it's one of those game-changing.
I'm working on a house right now with that philosophy, in the fact that the exterior walls and the roof have nothing to do with the interior.
Oh, wow. Very interesting. Boy, we are living in interesting times, folks. So I feel like we're at a crossroads. We can take a really positive turn and keep going with this stuff, and or go down the dark path. But let's not do that, everybody. Hey, you're listening to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from News Talk 98.9 The Roar, Memphis. It's the holiday season. We're going to take a quick break and come back with our buddy Brandon Olmstead and talk about the Christmas decoration war between man and beast.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Gonna paint our wagon, gonna paint it good. We ain't bragging, we're gonna coat that wood.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
I mean, those are the kind of job sites you want to be on. Good morale. Everybody's having a good time, feeling positive about their work.
Is this why you work alone most of the time, Joe?
And we'll come back to Tool Talk
You want to
Radio.
keep it positive?
Coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios, I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry, and Wood Turning. Here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from Geeky Side TV, our buddy Brandon Olmsted from Geek Tank Radio, and our pal Max behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And, of course, we invite you to go over to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page. Give us a like. It is really a good place to stop because also you will find links to all of our past shows. You will find the must-have item of the week, which I have posted early. So if you can't wait to see the must-have item of the week, you're going to have to, you can go check it out now. Get spoilers. Some people like spoilers, Brandon. I know you're one of those. You're spoiler heavy.
I'm one of those guys that does not get bothered by spoilers. Because once I'm into a movie or into a series, I'm just hardcore into it, and then I go, "Oh, I forgot they said that was going to happen."
Okay,
like what would happened on Hawkeye recently, which we'll talk about at Geek Tank later today.
Yeah, Geek Tanks. Yeah, I've got opinions about that, but anyway,
I understand.
You know what else I've got
They're
opinions
wrong,
about?
okay.
I believe in craftsmanship. Sorry, Mike, another lousy transaction. I believe in craftsmanship when it comes to kitchen and bathroom remodeling and keeping a low overhead because, let's face it, the customer is the one paying for that low overhead. So Mike Serafolian, he's the owner of Tri-State Interiors. He has a new contest going, Allan. If you can spell his name correctly without Googling it, I think you get a free countertop or something. No. Probably not.
Don't say that on the
sounds
air.
like false advertising. Forget
don't get him in trouble now.
He's got a
and
very
it's spelled properly on our website.
Yeah,
I
there you
can
go.
spell his name.
No, he's got a very difficult to spell last name, but a very easy to remember company. Tri-State Interiors. It's called. Everything in this is intentional. It's called Tri-State Interiors because he serves this tri-state area, Tennessee, Mississippi, and Arkansas. This region, this blast radius, you could say. If you're listening to us on this,
I think it's funny that you say blast radius for a guy who remodels bathrooms.
Yeah. Hey, that's a good point. So, but if you go to remodel your kitchen or bathroom, it is one of the especially your kitchen. Let's face it, it is one of the most disruptive. It's one of the most. It can be the most expensive, and it's really the one you got to give the most thought to because everybody's in the kitchen every day. It is the centerpiece of your home, and if you're going to improve the value of your home, it's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Well, Allan, for one thing, they focus on the craftsmanship and keeping a low overhead, like we say. He doesn't spend a lot of money on the bells and whistles, only the essentials.
But the cool thing is he embraces technology, and he can give you a 3D render of what you're thinking you want to do.
Yeah, that's
Nice.
the fun part. The design process is so much
my
different
goodness.
than it was 30 years ago or 20 years ago when you would get a set of blueprints, which are time-consuming and expensive to print up. It's funny because the computer renderings are actually less work, and they're just more dynamic, and you get a better view of what your kitchen's going to look like.
And,
So if you want to take
if you're not sure whether or not you want that dark counter or the light counter, take a look at it on the computer, think about it for a little bit, and make your decision. Yeah.
Absolutely. So he embraces the technology. And the other principle that we strongly support is the notion of so he gets your design together and you make your decision, and then he orders every single part and every single appliance and every single piece of tile that he's going to need, and then he sets it in his warehouse, and he's not going to start the job until all of that's in place, because we've seen jobs. I've been on jobs where they drag out for 6 months or something,
When someone's working on your house and then they're like, well, we have to wait on the new tile to come in.
Right.
Wait, why did you start already? It
Bad
just
planning.
makes sense
Right.
to get all your stuff together beforehand.
Yeah, and it speeds up the whole process, and it's just good, sound business. It's funny that we even have to celebrate this. Everybody should already be doing this, but unfortunately they don't.
You're right.
So.
Everybody should be doing this. I mean, me and Allan are cooks.
Yeah.
Can you imagine being in the middle of making something and then having to run to the store for the recipe because you forgot eggs?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Well, as soon as the milk comes in, we'll finish dinner.
Right.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So
Where's Bessie?
So get in touch with the good people at Tri-State Interiors. Call Mike Serafolian directly. You can call him at 901-409-1333 or go to tristateinteriorsllc.com. Make sure you add the LLC. Hey, Brandon. So
Hey,
it's
Joe.
the holiday season.
Yes, it is.
You always like to celebrate.
Dude, from the get-go, by the middle of September until the 1st of January, I'm all about decorating in my yard, on my house. I do stuff for Halloween. I do stuff for Thanksgiving. I do stuff for Christmas. And then after New Year's, we pull everything down and put it back in its little boxes.
Now, what about that time between Halloween and Christmas? Do you ever? Because I know you're big into like the skeletons and the gravestones. Right. Do you save any of that?
So after Halloween, we bring down a lot of the more macabre items, such as like the candy coffin and things like that, and we put out a table, and we put the skeletons around the table, and we have them playing poker.
Nothing shouts Christmas like skeletons.
Well, no.
poker.
This is for Thanksgiving. This is a family event. You know, I don't believe it. You know.
Gambling.
Hey. How many people
poker and that liquid protein diet?
Yes.
All right.
You have to be able to put up with your family somehow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I love my family, but yeah, sometimes a little bit of liquid courage and a game of cards is how it goes.
Alcohol. Yeah.
So we start that off, and then of course as we get closer to Christmas, we start bringing out the Christmas lights, and we redecorate the skeletons so they no longer look like your drunken uncles. They now have Santa hats and stuff like that, but they're still playing poker.
Okay, well, they're good. Okay, all right, yeah.
But, I mean, my stuff is usually really simple because I don't like getting on a roof. The only person I know who likes to get on a roof, I'm not going to go, hey, Joe, come put this on my roof.
Who said I do? I mean, yeah, it's hot up there and it's slippery, and but
I have seen some of the craziest stuff this year where people are, we're coming off of the, we've had a year of vaccinations and stuff like that. So people are just going all out.
Yes.
And it's getting dangerous.
That's what I wanted to zero in on.
I've heard stories of like owls getting trapped in netted lightings on bushes and stuff. I've seen some very what were supposed to be celebratory, lighting displays turned into vulgar displays because somebody forgot to zip tie Santa's hand in place.
Yeah.
And I want to both celebrate and throw shade on the people who just go completely bonkers when it comes to decorating for the holidays.
Okay, go ahead, Brian. I'm compiling my list of questions.
Well, there's a number of people love a certain Christmas movie, right? It has a guy named Griswold in it, and people love doing an homage to that. So everybody now is kind of caught on to take one of your Halloween decorations, change out the clothes on him, and dangle him from a gutter.
Right.
And that usually winds up getting the local police called. So I'm going to advocate, don't dangle mannequins or bodies off of high-reaching gutters because it upsets passersby.
Didn't some lady, because I've seen that gag. It's an easy decoration. You basically take one string of Christmas lights, you hang it from the peak of your house, you have it hanging halfway off, and then a mannequin holding onto the gutter with the ladder on the ground or the ladder.
Right.
And one lady ran up and was trying to help because she thought somebody was hanging from there for real, and I think she got injured or something. So I don't know if they sued the homeowner or whatever.
Because if I remember correctly, the ladder that they had set up against the thing where it looked like the guy had leaned over away from the ladder and he lost his footing and he was hanging from the roof.
Right.
She went and grabbed if I remember the story correctly, she went and grabbed the ladder and ended up hurting herself with trying to move the ladder into place.
If you have a 24-foot ladder or something and it's fully extended, that thing is awkward.
It's heavy.
It's easy to knock on your head.
It's
something.
dangerous.
But I'm curious too because Brandon, you said something about owls or Allan or something because that's the battle between man and beast.
See, and that's the thing is you guys you have your critter wars, and sometimes inadvertently while you're trying to celebrate the holidays, you manage to trap critters in netted lighting, or of course, if you keep your stuff in the garage and you leave that open while you're doing everything, you also allow various things to get into your garage and then have access to your house.
Look at how Allan is nodding innocently, as though he doesn't do this on purpose, because that sets up his dinner plans.
I mean, he definitely
if he traps an owl or a squirrel or something.
Well, that's what happens at his house. I'm thinking more along the lines of things that happen when he's, on one of his jobs at one of the local retirement communities, and they go, Allan, I need your help. I've got some weird sound in the wall.
Yeah.
And it's because they've left the back porch open while they were putting out their Christmas decorations, and now there's a family of squirrels feasting on their Christmas ornaments.
Well, my favorite one right now is a commercial property that had lots of Santa's reindeer and stuff out there. And the next morning, it was unpleasant. It was a crime scene.
Yeah.
And,
what do you mean? I want.
Well. Then we played back the cameras to discover that there's a lot of deer out this season, and apparently one of them took umbrage with the Santa sleigh and taught those upstarts a lesson.
Yeah.
A turf war between the deer.
And there are scenes of him, literally, you could see the glee in his eyes. He was like stomping into the ground. You're like, wow.
You ever think that every once in a while a buck will wander into a Christmas display and take out his aggression on his family on the plastic reindeer?
Well, he did.
Yeah.
He did. It wasn't pretty. And when you watch the camera, there was kind of a few moments of, you want some more? And he would turn around and continue.
He probably thought he was the toughest deer in town.
He was.
After
He
that
was.
one.
That
and
back
looked so
kick on
pleased with
Santa.
himself.
The back kick on Santa when he thought he was freeing his brother.
Oh yeah. It was amazing what you can see on a security camera these days.
Well, that is one of the positives. I mean, we get so much footage of everything. I know Big Brother is spying on everything we do, but you do, in the midst of that invasion of our privacy, we do get some funny video, which makes it all
When
worthwhile.
we come back, I will tell you the story of Ring.
Mm-hmm. The Ring Wars. So.
It's that new little device Ring that gives you a little camera over your doorbell.
Okay. That's a tease. Hey, no reason to go anywhere, folks. We're coming up on hour 2 of Tool Talk Radio, and it's getting juicy. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. We'll be right back.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
And welcome to Hour 2 of Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry, and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from Geeky Side TV, and our buddy Brandon Olmstead from Geek Tank Radio, and our pal Max behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And you can also go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page, which was, among other things, you can commune with us that way. You can send us pictures or videos of your home improvement triumphs or tragedies. Send us some information about that guy that burned the house down trying to smoke the boa constrictor out of their home in Australia.
Or better yet, man, we want to see some Christmas decorations.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I want to ask you guys something serious.
Okay.
Because you guys do this live every Saturday morning. How are we already in hour 2?
Yeah, that's the thing.
I really don't feel like we've been here that long.
No, it goes pretty quick.
Yeah. So Brandon's here. It's the holidays. We can bring whoever we want in here. But Brandon, we've been talking about more or less. This is sort of a Critter Wars / holiday decoration special, talking about some of the dynamics at play, and especially between man and beast with our holiday decorations, and the fact that a lot of these things are being captured on video and on like ring doorbells and things like that. And,
well, I mean, if
the footage is out there.
If you ever want to know who it is that's running over your snowman, you don't have to build it around the tree trunk so that you find their car. You just set up a Ring doorbell.
Okay, yeah, because people were doing that, weren't they? They'd have an immovable object and they build a snowman around it, because there's always that one jerk that thinks it's funny to plow into your yard. And
well, I mean,
I think you need
I don't
both.
want to.
I think you need the ring to get the full effect of when that vehicle comes to a raging stop.
Especially when you find out it's a kid on a dirt bike.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
it really
gosh.
hurts.
That sounds
Yeah.
painful.
So we mentioned Ring. I'm going to bring up the new little doorbell things that you got. There's several different brands now.
Right.
But this particular one was a friend of mine was like, hey, I just got this cool new device, and now we can see what's going on, and you can see who's at the door and all. I mean, they're very excited.
Yeah.
Sure.
A couple of days later, she walks up to me completely horrified and was just like, it was the middle of the night last night, and the phone went off with the app.
Right.
That
You get that
something
notification.
was at our door. It's like 2, 3 in the morning.
Dun.
Oh, yeah. She was like, oh, yeah. And I was kind of like, oh, yeah, I could hear, as the story goes, as one would say, you could hear the hammer cocked back as she was telling the story. Mm-hmm. It's like, no, the phone has gone off. It has said there is something at, so here we go. And
we break out the arms.
We go to the door, we look out the door, and there's nothing there. So we go back to the app, and she pulls out her phone, she shows it to me, and she goes, and then there was this. And what you have is the nose of a very large rat. And then you get the rat's underbelly as he goes past her doorknob, doot, 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 right up over the, and then of course there's apparently he stopped for a conversation because there was at least a minute of his tail just hanging there in front of the ring. And then finally disappears up, and she looks at me and she goes, what is that thing doing? Oh my, just absolutely mortified.
It's doing what rats do.
Well, and I said that, and I said, all right, so obviously somewhere above your front door is something it wants. And since it was this time of year, I said, what do you have stored where? Because, you did Halloween decorations, and then you did the other stuff, and, you've changed out.
Right.
She goes, well, you just put all the Halloween stuff up in the attic. And I said, what Halloween stuff did you put in the attic? And she goes, well, oh, my God. We have corn stalks up there. And I said, well, you had corn stalks.
Oh, yeah.
What you have now is the rodent all-you-can-eat buffet. You need to get those out of there now.
Oh, yeah.
So welcome to having a camera on your house and your neighborhood critters.
And you just gave them a rope to climb up if you got all the Christmas lights hanging there.
Oh,
You
yeah.
just
You
gave them
just
another way
right
to,
up that
to
thing.
rappel
Not
up
a
there.
problem.
Wow. Okay.
So welcome to, if we set it up, nature is more than willing to take advantage of it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The battle never ends, folks.
When it comes down to it, the animals are smarter than we are.
I don't know.
On occasion, because
Oh.
I'm going to bring up some deflated toys in the next segment that didn't end well for anybody.
Yeah, I can just go ahead and tell you now. I'm over inflatables. I am so over inflatables.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought those are a nice ergonomic solution, right? Because you can inflate them, and then when you want to collapse them, they go in your attic.
They're not as quiet as people seem to think they are.
No, they're not.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we're really pounding this this theme into the ground. But hey, it is the holidays, so what the heck? Let's have some fun. I don't know. I think you told us that story about the rats before, but anyway.
Well, it's a cautionary tale that needed to be told again as people put stuff in the attic.
Speaking of cautionary tales, you're listening to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. Listen at your own peril, folks. But we're going to take a quick break, come back, and wrap up our discussion about Christmas battles.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Barnacles, what could be worse than a giant paint bubble?
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
He's really got to calm down. Just pop the bubble, SpongeBob. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry, and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from Geeky Side TV, and our pal Brandon Olmstead from Geek Tank Radio, and our buddy Max behind the glass. You can give us a call or text at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989, Or go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page. Give us a like. Check out all the action over there. And you'll find all the links to our Spotify account, which is good for listening to all the past episodes, and including past episodes of Tool Talk and Geek Tank Radio.
Absolutely.
And let's throw in a little shout out to our buddies at Motor Mouth Radio as well.
Oh,
right?
yes.
They're all over there. There's really no reason to turn off your radio on Saturdays. I mean, you got the whole gamut. So, hey, before we got to wrap this up. We've already
sanity,
we've spent 2 segments on this, and I didn't think we'd keep going. But Alan, you said you had one more story of holiday woe, or
there's
what is
way
this?
more than one.
Well, I know, but we can't just monopolize the whole. Okay, but we've been talking about the battle between your Christmas decorations and rats and raccoons and owls that get trapped, and and some of the bizarre footage you get on your Ring doorbell. But you had one more tale of woe, is that right?
Well, there's more than one, but there's a couple of good ones involving the inflatables.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Brandon's against it. Why are you against inflatables,
Okay,
Brandon?
so they're awesome to look at. Don't get me wrong, but when you live next to people who have many, they're not as quiet as people think they are.
Huh.
And every so often you get a little bit of a squeal or a squeak in those air compressors, which drives your dog insane, which then drives you insane when you're trying to sleep.
Right. Okay.
It's my own personal reason for being over them. I think that they're cool if they could just if you're going to have inflatables, take necessary maintenance on your compressors.
Huh.
Keep those fans well lubricated.
Yes.
It reminds me of the discussion we had a while back about making a quieter leaf blower. It's like, why can't they be quieter? There's
Right.
probably a way to do something, because like we talked about those fans. What I don't remember what they're like, the Dyson fans, and you don't even hear them. They're really weird looking. They're kind of a round, hollow shape, but man, they kick out some air and they're almost silent. So why can't we do the same thing?
Not to take away from what the story Allan's going to hit us with, but why can't you put a muffler on a leaf blower?
Yeah, absolutely.
Doesn't make any sense that you can't.
Yeah,
you could.
So that's the invention we're still waiting on.
There's our $1 million idea, Allan.
It is.
You were looking for a product.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Did you have anything else, Allan? I feel like we've beat that one into the ground.
Well, you just had since you're blessed with lots of squirrels, I'm also going to point out that Memphis, since if you happen to be in our fair city here with us, and a lot of our listeners around, I get to actually say this, Joe, around the world.
Okay.
Because we're picking up a pretty fair-sized UK contingent.
Oh.
Way to go, guys.
Top of the morning to you.
Cheerio.
It's all because Joe loves the Great British Baking Show.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah.
It is.
You think Paul Hollywood's listening? That'd be fun.
Well, apparently Great Britain thinks we're pretty funny or something. Or there's just morbid curiosity.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of bunnies.
There are a lot of bunnies.
We have bunnies now. They're like cottontails all up in the city now. And, of course, we have raccoons.
Yes.
And for those of you that are not blessed with raccoons in your neck of the wood, just go watch Guardians of the Galaxy. Ours don't talk, but it pretty much covers it.
Yeah.
Not yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, and they're not armed yet.
I wouldn't even go that far.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Raccoons are interesting creatures, and they will get inside your inflatables.
Well, how does that work? There's a fan in between. How do they get inside those things?
Oh, no, Joe. It's just a tube, but it's such a powerful air compressor on them that if you get a hole in the bottom, your inflatables are still going to stay up.
Yes.
So you end up with critters getting inside them.
Yes, and there's nothing quite like seeing a deflated Santa attempting to escape.
What's the attraction for them to get inside a thing like that? I mean, aren't they going to get... I don't know.
Something new,
sabotage,
something to play with, something to mess with you over.
We're talking about trash pandas, man. They just want to destroy.
Are they asserting their dominance in the neighborhood to say, this is my turf, get out of here, you giant, floating creature, whatever you are?
Whatever you want to make up is probably what's going through its evil little mind.
Okay.
I am convinced if raccoons ever figure out bus tokens or car keys, it's over for us.
Yeah.
There is one of my neighbors does have an inflatable spider that they put out for Halloween, and it has been used as a trampoline for critters.
Really? Okay.
Oh, I bet they did.
Yeah, it was fun to watch.
If you want to see something hilarious, look up critters and trampolines.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, people have the backyard trampolines. The number of foxes, bobcats, and raccoons making use of your outdoor recreation equipment and possibly eating all your goldfish. They're there. They're with us. They are totally with the decorations.
Sticking with the Christmas theme, Joe, I will look up and see if I can find the video of the baby bear playing with the porcelain snowman.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, yeah.
Or I guess it was ceramic.
There's a lot of those. And then, of course, we have every so often, the inebriated hoofed animal winds up in a tree.
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, that's because you're talking about the bears that get a hold of your liquor cabinet somehow, or
I'm just talking about the deer that got into that pile of old apples that had fermented.
The fermented fruit.
Next thing you know, he's like laying on the top of your shrubbery in the middle of your Christmas lights, and
and he can't get out because he gets tangled.
All right. Well, hey, if you're out there and you've got any stories of adventure between you and the beasts of the neighborhood, especially regarding your Christmas or Halloween decorations, send us video evidence. That's what we want. We don't want any of your tall tales like half of the stuff Allan's brought us today. We want actual evidence,
you can find
verifiable facts.
You can find most of Allan's stories on the internet. That's where he found them to begin with.
Yeah, exactly.
I wish.
All right. Hey, guys, let's do something. Let's steer back into maybe the tool realm. How's this? We've got our must-have item of the week.
Tool.
All right. So if you've already gone to our Tool Talk Radio Facebook page, you know what we've brought you today. But Allan, tell people what I'm holding up.
He is holding up an infamous, I would have to say, hacksaw blade.
Well, I'm holding up a pack of hacksaw blades.
Well,
that's the reason I brought it in. So I brought a package of hacksaw blades because, folks, I mean, we all love our hacksaws. They're great tools. But one shortcoming I would say is some people think you can just get a hacksaw, use it, and then just hang it up in your tool, on your tool rack and never replace the blade. Well, that's a recipe for disaster, and it's a recipe for a sore arm. Because
does that really happen?
I don't know, man. The thing about it is hacksaw blades are really inexpensive.
Yes, they are.
It behooves you to keep a good supply of hacksaw blades if you use them at all, because hacksaws are good. Well, Brandon, I know you use it even on plastics and stuff, right? Not just metal.
Well, when shaping foam and everything for like a tombstone or something like that. If it's too deep for you to get at with your rotary tool, a hacksaw will do it. It's not as refined, but yeah. Of course, I've also been yelled at for changing out the blade before it was necessarily ready to be changed. But, you get things in those grooves, and it's like, do I want to clean this? No, I'm going to replace the blade because I can buy 1,000 of them for $10.
Right, and it's like the other thing with that is, I don't know about you guys, but I sort of have this category. So I'll have the brand new blades, and then I take one out, and I'm like, well, it's not quite garbage yet, but it'll be a kind of the backup blade if I need it. But it's one of those things I feel like sometimes people overlook. We're not advocating being wasteful, but at the same time, man, it's like there's a reason there's replacement blades.
Well, and I'm also going to throw in a great use for just the plain blade that most people don't think of. Everybody today has a home office.
That's true.
So the office chair, the chair with little rollers, has entered the home. And the one thing people find out at home is a lot furrier than an office.
What do you mean?
You and I don't have hair, but other people in the house may have hair. Your pets have hair. You've got carpets, and the wheels get bound up pretty quick. So when the chair doesn't roll like it used to, and you flip it over and look at it, and all the hair and yarn and stuff is caught up in there.
Right.
It is a real pain to get that out, especially sitting there trying to grab with needle nose pliers and all that. My trick is a hacksaw blade. Slide that baby down in there, and it will cut through that hair and yarn and stuff with no problem at all. And you can just slide it out with a little pair of tweezers and or needle nose.
Well, I never really even thought about that, but that's almost genius. Alan.
Actually, that's a good point or like if you drop something under the fridge, the hacksaw blade is thin and it's got little teeth
right
to grab
up under there. Yes.
Something.
It does a great job.
Allan sometimes he comes up with stuff that it's impressive, sir. So.
Well, and also if you're trying to surface something, you can actually insert a hacksaw blade, especially the metal ones, into your drill. And when the drill, and you can begin to turn it slightly, and you have just that light scuffing as you go across a surface. So if you're trying to add a texture, Brandon
that's interesting,
just went,
distressing.
ooh.
Huh. Now that's kind of an interesting. Yeah, we might have to pick up on this because that's you're giving me all sorts of other ideas.
All I'm
too,
sitting here right now is thinking the edges of my coffin still look a little too new.
Not long.
Yeah. Okay. That's where it's funny where everybody's mind goes to. So I was thinking of distressing wood.
I was going to say I'm still distressing wood. That thing is a work of art, and you did an amazing job on the design behind it.
Well,
I just got to make it look like it's old.
Engraver, so okay. Well, hey, the hacksaw blade turned into a bigger conversation than we thought. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
But definitely a great must-have item of the week. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. We're going to take a quick break, and then our buddy Max is going to bring us one of his deep cuts as he talks about Kintsugi, the celebration of imperfection.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
For $1, what tool is used to hammer a nail? Is it A, a hammer, B, a nail, C...
B, nail. Final answer.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
I don't know why you let that guy work on your house, Allan. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry, and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbert from Geeky Side TV, and our friend Brandon Olmstead, who's sitting in with us today. I don't know, celebrating the holidays or just getting here early or whatever he's doing. So, and our pal Max behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989, or go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page. Give us a like. Check out all the action over there, and send us messages. And also, if you missed any of our past episodes, never fear. You can check us all out on Spotify. You can either go to Spotify and subscribe. We do suggest that. It's nice. It's a great platform, and it's always helpful too if you give us a 5-star review. Lie if you have to. Tell people how great we are, and give us a positive review there too. It's always helps the old algorithms, Allan.
Yeah, so, and don't forget, we're also available on YouTube.
YouTube as well. So,
yes.
Hey, Allan, in a moment we're going to get to one of Max's deep cuts, but before we... Hold on, Max. Before we do that, tell us what's going on over at Geeky Side TV.
Well, of course, it's the holidays, so we're exploring lots of new foods and adventures, and you can catch on to I'm trying to think of the latest one with Scott J. Carroll. He just did a brand new story time, so if you're a fan of the cute little animations and the bizarre little stories, by all means, tune in to Scott J. Carroll's Story Time.
Okay, but when are you guys not talking about food? You make that sound like it's a special feature, but
we have a lot of other features.
Central...
We talk about books. We talk about movies.
Nobody
catch on the page,
nobody cares
on the
about
scene.
Nobody cares about books or movies. We want food. Man.
It's Memphis,
it's food.
So.
Okay, no, it's fun, and then Scott J. Carroll's a lot of fun, and those story time with Scott J. Carroll. He takes the mundane, puts a magnifying lens on it, and makes you rethink the way you live your daily life.
Yeah, we'll have to drag you into Geek Tank Radio here this season.
He has found that it's an easier and less expensive route than therapy.
Yeah, and let's face it, he spends like 30 seconds of research to do these, and then gets the camera rolling and goes for it. So, all right, and of course, if you're a content creator out there and you want to become the next Roku TV star, get in touch with Allan at GeekySideTV.com, right?
That's
Allan?
correct.
Okay. So, Max, now you can cue the sound effect. Jeez. We've got another one of your deep cuts, and apparently I've been mispronouncing it all day. I'm calling it Kintsugi, the celebration of the imperfection. It's a Japanese principle, right? Right, Max?
It's more than a principle. It's an actual art. It's mostly revolves around a ceramic art. And ladies and gentlemen, if you have relatives coming in during the holidays, and all of a sudden, one of their dogs or one of their, let's just say, negligent children comes and knocks over one of your fine vases or other ceramic work or whatever, with Kintsugi, it's not the end of your piece of art. It's the beginning of a new chapter to the grand story of this piece of art.
Hey, that's well put. Did you write that down?
No, it just came. I just thought of it.
Yeah, it's very poetic. So.
Yeah, very good, very good.
Yeah. Tell us about Kintsugi.
Well, let's go back to the origins of Kintsugi for the fun of it.
Okay.
So this takes us back way to the 15th century in Japan, and according to legend, there was a Japanese shogun by the name of Ashikaga Yoshimasa, and one of his favorite tea bowls got cracked, and he sent it back to China to undergo repairs. But when it returned, he was horrified to find that it was mended with this unsightly metal staples and everything, and so craftsmen were commissioned to find a more, let's just say, aesthetically pleasing method of repairing it, and thus Kintsugi was born. And so if you'd allow me to explain the method that's used for Kintsugi, so you gather the remnants of whatever broke, and you mend it with a lacquer, but you also put gold or other precious metals, dust in there to accent the cracks and everything. You sort of embrace the imperfection, as Joe continues to say. It's like you're not trying to like hide the fact that it broke. You're trying to show that, hey, it did break, but look how beautiful we can make it look.
It sounds kind of like the opposite. There's a great show on Netflix that I think we've all talked about called The Repair Shop, and where people will bring in. It's a really kind of cool workshop in Great Britain, and they might bring in a doll or a chair or something that's from, it's got a strong history in their family. It could be 200 years old, and they do their best to repair it so you don't see the repairs because they want to restore it to what it was. But this principle is saying, well, I think, Max, you said it's a new chapter for this piece of,
it doesn't
changing the dynamic.
It doesn't have to be the same that it was, just as if, like if you're coming back from a relationship after a really long time, it doesn't have to be the way it was before. It can evolve into something different, but still very beautiful.
Yeah. What's interesting is it's a real interesting metaphor for the human condition, because
no, that's what I like about like some of the Japanese practices is it's manifesting the spiritual in a physical medium.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting, and if you watch some YouTube videos on it, you'll see that. And so it's like Brandon, there's this vase they show, and it's like it kind of looks cooler. It dropped. It looked like it shattered into about 30 or 40 pieces, and there's all these lines. It's been reconstructed, but you have these gold accent
but now,
lines.
now you've got it. Almost looks like when light hits them just right, it almost looks like lava coming through the edges of them.
Yeah, it's really cool. And so, but what it gets you thinking about is everybody in the world has got scars, whether they're physical or mental. I'm looking at Allan on that one, and his relatives. But it's like, so it's the notion of embracing those, because you can't hide you might think you're hiding your scars, but nobody ever does. You wear them on your sleeve, so to speak, right?
Exactly.
So this is saying, no, these are the scars, and this is actually what's formed me into this new being, you could say. So
embrace the beauty of your imperfections.
Right.
Well, this actually went so far that even to a point that if you had an amazing artist in your village that was really good at this, they began to notice that a lot of the families had a lot of quote-unquote accidents with some of their more valuable pottery, so that they too could have an item that had been repaired in this manner. Because if you've seen these dishes, and of course you can go to the internet and see all kinds of pictures of them, they are really quite beautiful.
Yeah.
It is very well done. It is not something somebody sat down with some super glue and tried to put the handle back on the pot.
Right, but now you can, because they do put out glue that has glitter in it. So hey.
Well, they're getting there. So
they're getting there.
So if you like the Japanese philosophies of things like mushin, which is basically the word of no mind, it's kind of mind over matter. If you don't mind, it doesn't matter. And this takes things to a very pretty
level.
And this also makes a really nice collectible.
Well,
for those of you kind of like, if you like thrift stores, and you'd like to try this, go buy something with a chip in the corner, and let's see if you can take something damaged from somebody else's past and turn it into something beautiful in your own home.
Before I talk about like some interesting methods that they have for different styles of kintsugi, I kind of wanted to bring up something that was kind of funny when I was reading about it in an article. It says like during the 17th century, there was like a Japanese warrior that infamously purchased, broke, and repaired standard tea bowls in order to make a profit.
Yes.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to. One of the things I wanted to do somewhere in this discussion is talk about the home improvement applications of this, because kind of what you're laying out there, Max, is suddenly there's a new story behind this piece of art because of, it's basically, if this thing dropped because somebody dropped it, you've marked that in time, and it's always gonna be remembered, and it's kind of adding a new chapter to it, like you said. So.
Exactly. And this might also kind of inspire like you to think about like things coming into the next segment. Well, the three methods that I've researched is that there's the obvious one where you mend cracks of lacquer, but there's also two other ones that I found really fascinating. One is you mold gold into the shape of like a particular chip area, and then you fill in the cracks like everywhere else and everything. I think that's really fascinating. So it's like you almost mimic a ceramic shard by using gold or precious metal. And then the second one that I found, which is interesting, is you kind of do a patchwork thing where you take like a shard from like another piece of ceramic that broke that was in a similar shape to what cracked on a bigger piece, and you mend those two together.
Very interesting. So, but it's I don't know. There's a neat dynamic with that. I like that because let's face it, nothing is ever going to be perfect. It's a constant battle against that, and why not embrace that fact? So we're gonna do that when we come back. And in fact, we're gonna steer into home improvement applications for Kintsugi, which I just mispronounced. You're listening to Tool Talk in honor of the aesthetic. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from News Talk 98.9 The Roar, Memphis. We'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
This castle is in unacceptable condition! Unacceptable!
News Talk 98.9 The Roar of Memphis.
Once again, Allan, you're the guy that worked on the drawbridge. Keep me out of this.
He needs to embrace the art of Kintsugi.
Absolutely.
Accept that imperfection in the castle.
Exactly. Welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry, and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from Geeky Side TV, and our pal Brandon Olmstead from Geek Tank Radio, and our buddy Max behind the glass, who's been bringing us a really interesting deep cut about the art of Kintsugi, which I'm mispronouncing
every time,
which is to me a celebration of the
yes. You're going very
aesthetic.
wabi-sabi on us. You're embracing that which is not perfect.
We're going to talk about that in a minute, and talk about possible home improvement connections to embracing Kintsugi. Before we do that, though, you guys, I want to make a stand here and say something on my own behalf. If you're out there and you need a deck or a pergola or a patio cover or a screened-in porch or a house made out of recycled plastic bricks. No, I'm not there yet, Allan. I don't have that connection.
No, you'd call me and you for that one.
Yeah, but give me a call at 901-921-7105. And this is the time of year I actually enjoy these outdoor projects. Here's a little tip for you, folks. It's easier to get lumber right now. I don't mind working out in the wintertime. It's fine with me. Of course, this isn't really all that serious of you don't get really heavy-duty winters here in Memphis anyway. It's easier to just put a coat on and get to work. So This is a great time to do this. And then by the time the spring rolls around, it's, your screened-in porch or your new deck or any of that is going to be ready to roll. So give me a call again at 901-921-7105 or visit my website, thorshomes.com. So here's what I was going to throw at you guys. So, Max, you've been tell us the right pronunciation. I've been mispronouncing it.
Kintsugi.
Oh, okay. Well, I haven't been that far.
You said Kent.
No, did I?
You really accent the Kent part of it.
Kent.
You kind of blend it together and everything, but su is a separate syllable in the Japanese language.
So it's the celebration of imperfection. So basically, if you drop a vase, you don't just throw it out, and you don't try to necessarily fix the vase so that you can't detect the repair. You actually highlight the repairs and everything. Well, I was thinking about, I don't know if this is like here's an example. We had a beloved dog. Our dog's name was Lily. She was a great Labrador Retriever, and she, she's gone. She's long gone. But she really let's just say she left a bad stain in the dining room floor on the hardwood floor. And I've been hesitant to get rid of it because you look at it and it's like, well, that's where Lily was. That was her place, and that was a remnant of our past. And there's a story behind that stain or something. Well, within reason, I'm thinking there's probably things you could do in your home. I don't know how much the wives are going to like this, but it's like where you say, "Well, honey, I'm not gonna repair this whatever because there's a story behind this." So I don't know.
Okay, well, in actual home decor, I'm gonna let Brandon go first, then I can hit you with some stories.
Well,
Okay,
mainly
I'm just wondering if this will play at your house.
This is genuinely a thing. Of course, we have central heat and air, and of course we have that wonderful closet door in the hallway that leads directly into your unit.
Right.
Well, there's always that little that little lip, that ridge that runs right above it, and usually there's a vent underneath it. We were fostering a dog. Her name was Mary, beautiful pointer. She was in the hallway, and because we had to separate the dogs when we were first socializing them, and she chewed a big chunk out of that.
Yeah.
Well, instead of replacing it or repairing it, we just smoothed it down so that none of the other dogs would get hurt from the edges. And it's always like, well, what happened to that? And then I get to tell the story about the dog. So I see where you're coming from with that.
Yeah, I had one more thing too, and then I'll throw it to the floor. But I was thinking, what if your kid is a baseball player, right? Mm-hmm. Baseball is a nice, wholesome activity. It's good exercise. It's and for
unless
all
you're an Astro.
Maybe, yeah, exactly. Unless you're one of those cheating guys. But anyway, you might, and for all you know, you might be harboring the next Chris Bryant or Javier Baez or something. Well, suppose they break the front window. Instead of just throwing that glass in the garbage and getting a new pane, okay, get a new window. Why don't you take all the shards of that and do a Kintsugi treatment, frame the thing. 20 years from now, you'll say, this is the first window my son ever broke with a baseball or my daughter. So,
What's also kind of cool about that idea, Joe, is that if you take it and you get someone who's a woodworker to make a custom frame, you can then put a picture of them in their baseball uniform behind that broken glass.
Yeah.
So you have an amazing art piece right there.
Think of that. Think of when Ron Swanson hit a bat through the sheetrock when he was mad about. Remember that episode, Brandon, when he was mad about something? And if you were to just frame that, take it out, put the new piece of sheetrock in. So all of these things have a story. I think it's kind of a neat principle.
Well, I mean, we can scale this up a little bit so that, you are, working on the house and discover you can or cannot do something. Well, rather than freaking out about it, adapt to it. And I've told the story before, but I'm going to tell it again in 3 seconds of a house in Vicksburg. We took up the carpet and discovered that the hardwood floor had been down since 1905.
I know the house you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
And we take up the carpet. The carpet had been infested with carpet beetles.
Yep.
The house had been abandoned for a little while. So all over this hardwood floor were these little black trails etched in it where the carpet beetles had been. So rather than tear out this 1905 floor, what we did was just sand it lightly, clean it up, go back over it, and just refinish the floor.
Yeah.
And as soon as we had that done, the new homeowner, who was completely ecstatic about this, had a floor that basically was tattooed.
I mean, that is a one-of-a-kind floor you could never
duplicate. And it looked
duplicate.
Amazing. So, kind of what we're pointing out here is look at things as not, oh my goodness, what has gone wrong, but oh my goodness, what can we do with this?
Yeah.
Because if you've got a dog and they've pawed up a certain section of the molding or whatever, you know what, guys, you could have a lot of fun puttying that in with different colored putties or epoxies and shining it up and making it look good. And I look at Brandon and go, and from evermore, you can talk about that started with Lucky and ended with Rover. And that's when we decided to, well, it's just like when you go into a home, Joe, you've discovered this, going into homes, and you see where the previous owner that just left or retired or just sold the home, you always have that spot in a doorway where they had marked the children's heights.
I was just thinking of that. In fact, I did a job where they had me work around that. Like, we don't know what we're going to do, but we don't want you to paint over that. Because, yeah.
All right, now another one, little kid murals.
Yeah.
Little kids draw on the walls.
Right.
Yeah.
And usually to the horror of their parents or other such. All right, well, one, if you're going to paint it over, you need to get a little revenge. You need to take a good picture of this, because now you can have that printed out and have it framed as a piece of artwork. Or I love, and I'm going to really throw this into our wheelhouse, Joe.
Yeah.
Go ahead and paint a wall with the chalkboard paint and give them a wall to draw on.
Yeah, but that's sort of contrived. Well, okay, I can go with you on that. I think it's a good idea, but that's contrived. Max's thing is talking about genuine drama of life that you are
I'm just
capturing.
embracing the whole thing, because if you got a 3-year-old and you leave a marker down, you're going to have some imperfections.
Because I feel
in
like
your home.
you're steering into like reality shows, which are not reality; they're scripted.
Well,
But
I don't want that.
But I mean, Max also brought us the tale of the rogue who was stealing pottery, breaking pottery, repairing pottery, and then selling
there
it for
you
profit.
go. It can all be corrupted.
It's all an opportunity. It's just how you look at it.
And don't think of it as a corruption. It's art.
Okay. Well, what did you have to say about it, Max?
Well, I didn't necessarily think of Kintsugi like in the terms of, like the home-related stuff. It made me think a little bit more towards textual, and even a little bit of a salute to our friends at Motor Mouths, because they recently had a segment with this wonderful rat rodder, and rat rodding makes me think an awful lot of Kintsugi because, it's more eclectic and more imperfect. You kind of take something that shouldn't drive, and it's driving.
Oh, yes.
Oh, now that's an idea. Yeah.
Or you keep
80
the
years
seats.
old.
You keep the seats in there like that have terrible springs and little cuts, maybe, but you still keep them in there. It doesn't matter how sore it makes your butt.
Isn't that something they do? Because I watched that Rust Valley, the Rust
Restorers.
Brothers or whatever. Yeah, and they have, what is that called? Patina. Like they
Patina.
don't restore they don't repaint it. They just get rid of the rust and buff it up and put a clear coat on it, and it's all.
Well, anything, it always comes down to performance versus appearance. And in appearance, it all comes down to presentation.
Yeah.
So if something looks like it should be there, and I'm going to pick on the door facing, the dog clawed it up, you went back and added colored epoxies to it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you've shown me how to make everything from wooden corners to magic wands, Joe.
Yeah.
And, watching him stain the magic wands, you'd have never thought of how to do this, because he pours the stain over the stick instead of putting the stick into the stain.
Right.
Sure.
So
There's any number of ways to do it.
These are the techniques that you get to play with. So when you walk around and you look at the house and go, geez, I can't believe this happened, or this floor got this worn, or that wall got this character added to it.
Yeah.
Step in and embrace it.
It also makes me think about not necessarily even accidents, but, certain people might not necessarily like the way that particular shapes of wood look. But when you look closely, like, for example, Joe, I remember your son gave you a while back, like, a piece of wood from the Holy Land, like Jerusalem olive wood, and there was, like, a face or something in there. Like, what if we did things to, like, embrace the face, so to say, like, embrace the imperfections and the style of the wood and everything?
Well, I'll tell you this, because, in my wood turnings and stuff, I look for those pieces of wood that have the imperfection. They have a weird knot in them, because those are the ones that have that. That's suddenly that's a feature of the piece of wood rather than an imperfection.
We don't remember the all the other colors of gas around Jupiter. We remember the big red cloud, so to say.
Well, that's a good point. So
we always remember what stands out.
Yeah, this needs to be a new part of the conversation here on Tool Talk Radio. Kintsugi, did I pronounce it better that time?
Kintsugi.
Yeah, the just basically because the way we can play this to our advantage too is, let's face it, is there ever perfection here on the air?
No.
So now we're doing it on purpose, and hey, this is a celebrating celebrating the imperfections. Well, this has been a very interesting and dynamic episode of Tool Talk Radio, and I hope you'll re-listen to it many times over, but it's time to get out of here, you guys. So on behalf of my friends Allan Gilbreth and Brandon Olmstead and our pal Max behind the glass, thanks for listening to Tool Talk Radio, and we'll see you next week.